Hi, I'm Joshua Hayward, Breath of Life School in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And welcome to Life Readings. Yes, thanks for joining me for this week in the Stars and Cards. And we've got, this is for the week of, Sunday the 30th of May. And okay, so we're moving forward, but looking back just for a second, because Mercury stationed to go retrograde on Saturday. Okay, and so, but that really counts for this week, and we can feel it. And we'll talk about that in earnest in just a second. But let me set the stage, and if you've been following along for the last few weeks, last week, you'll remember that we had Saturn going retrograde and also the first of two eclipses, a total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. And so a pretty active week, and we're kind of charged up. In the time between two eclipses, there is another eclipse coming on the 10th of June, and that's a solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini, the opposite sign. Okay, so during that one, the moon and the sun will be conjunct with each other. During the lunar eclipse, of course, they're opposite one another. Just to give a little explanation about how they work. And so, as we've come into this week, we're moving from the Saturn station and the first eclipse, anticipating the second one. And as that happens, Mercury goes retrograde somewhere around 24, 23 degrees of Gemini. And it's conjunct, and this is on Saturday, yeah, so it was conjunct Venus. And those two planets at those degrees, right in there, are on a 90-degree angle to the outer transpersonal planet of Neptune, which is at 22 degrees in Pisces. Mutable signs, flexibility, things moving and flowing, not sharp angles, just sort of moving around in a lot of change. That's the context that we're in. So with Mercury retrograding, it has a magnetic quality to it. All retrograding planets tend to pull in unusual things and circumstances because of that magnetic quality. So if you're working on your life spiritually, you've got an opportunity this week to be very creative and to begin to think about your life in some creative ways, and to be watching some of the circumstances and the ideas and the synchronicities that come up will be demonstrating some of those negative limiting beliefs that you tend to hold on to, anyone tends to hold on to, and not even knowing a lot of times that that's there. So there might be some confusion and disillusionment that comes up with Mercury on a square to Neptune. That doesn't usually rule clarity, or promote clarity, should I say. What it does, it has a sort of a wool gathering kind of thing where you get a little bit more myopically focused and you don't notice certain things that are going on around you. But the main thing about Mercury square Neptune is sometimes moving into or bumping into some things that could be disillusioning. And so really I see this week with some of that. If you're aware about it and you're trying to manifest some things in your life creatively, you can run it up against some things that you can actually clear out of your energy field. You can make different choices. If you work from the ego or the mind, like most people, you can just make some common, no-nonsense sort of choices. But be awake and ready to see that you're going to bump into some of these things. Don't be in denial. With all of this flexibility, some things can really change in your life if you allow that to happen. So that's pretty important, and really for the next 3 weeks and more, Mercury's relationship with Neptune is going to promote confusion and then clarity. But you got to work for that clarity, okay? So it's mental gymnastics in some ways, but it's kind of cool. When I talk to people tend to resist Mercury retrograde and go, "Oh, that just means some bad things are going to happen." It's not really about that. It's opening up to have some things that might not be that comfortable reveal themselves to you, so you can work through some things. I would say, if you're not attached to the way things that need to happen, you can use Mercury retrograde to sort of guide you through some unusual circumstances, and you get to change your life for a while, We get, human beings, we really like repetition a lot more than we think, and we get caught in a rut. And then we wonder why we're so bored and stuff like that. And so we're really kind of silly, actually. But, I guess that's an editorial. But anyway, let's revel in our silliness, and let's try to be a little bit more playful this week and try to move creativity forward. So moving towards that next eclipse on the 10th, this is a great week to sort through some of that stuff that's going to get you the maximum amount of spiritual and other types of work. Really maximize that stuff so you can move forward. All right, let's move into some cards. And I'm looking down here, because I'm like, okay, here's the cards down here. And so I'm playing around, and I'm going to come up with 3 different cards, which will sort of give additional information, but it's not 1 and 1 is not 2. As you listen here and watch, try to integrate, take a couple of deep breaths with the information that you've already received, and kind of open up for these images and these archetypes to kind of move in through. And so the first card that I'm seeing here is the Knight of Swords. And so there's this profound intensity about wanting to achieve a purpose, and you can see how this knight is really moving, sort of moving down towards his purpose into his goal, and he's very good at getting things done. So this is more of a normal mind setting for most people in mainstream society. But so there is that go for it, and we were talking about that, or I was kind of mentioning that, or just a few minutes ago, about that type of energy. And I'm going to put this down, and I'm fishing for another card, and I have, strangely enough, not strangely, but oddly enough, a prince. And now this is another type of male energy. He is the Prince of Cups, which has to do with love, and it has to do with emotions, and this card usually is a lover, but he can be a purveyor of a new idea around what may feel good. And I think that's what really needs to be sort of an additional thing, to partner up with that Knight of Swords. So he wants to act here, like, let's go do stuff, and he's saying, well, this is a journey. Notice he's on a chariot, and the eagle is a chariot, so he's flying. So let's move like this, let's move with some balance. Let's look inside who we are and try to be loving and kind and intuitive as we move forward, right? And combine that with this intense energy. And what you get when you combine these two energies, in my estimation, has to do with the sacred warrior, which we've been discussing in some of these episodes of life readings in the last few weeks. He is all about Christ consciousness. The sacred warrior is not the warrior of going out and doing war as in the normal way that we think about it. He's more the peaceful warrior that, and it's not necessarily so much, just male energy, but it's that male aspect of things, and we've seen this in the two cards. So with that sacred warrior, this is the warrior of the true self. And if you want to live your true self, that you're making some headway with moving past some of those illusions that I was talking about, and disillusionment, and refocusing your energy in a very powerful and compassionate and loving type of way to produce results that are based on an inside out. Okay, here's what I want to do from my center. That's empowerment. That's the sacred warrior. That's the true self. That's what it's all about. And this week, and so I'm looking for another card, and this is really cool. The Ace of Discs, and that's beautiful for what we're talking about, the sacred warrior of Christ consciousness that's manifesting a new structure in life, which is what we want to build in our individual lives and in our families, in our communities, and in our societies. It's something that where we can really get along with one another. Wouldn't that be good? So this is a new way of being. Okay, and that's what's open for us this week. In between the two eclipses with the Saturn station and the Mercury, the Venus, the Neptune, all of that stuff, we're looking at opening up a new path. Transpersonally and personally. So that's the stuff for this week. And I guess I just want to leave you with that. And next week we'll be moving a little bit closer to the second eclipse. And once again, during this time between those two, very profound time. So be sure to tune in for the next session. And wanting to wish you all the goodness in life, and wanting to just say to you, as you move forward with these energies, be sure to seek the divine in all things. And when you do that, then life does move at a new frequency, a higher frequency, and you move past the illusions, and you move into your heart space where Christ consciousness lives. Namaste. And be well.